Hey everyone, Jim here from Village Local. Thanks for tuning into this video. So if you're watching this, chances are it's because you're needing a little bit of guidance, you're needing a little bit of support in navigating your way to accessing more home care support services. You may be somebody that's already getting a little bit of help at home and you're finding that it's not enough and you need a little bit more help. Or you may be somebody that's never gone through the process of registering with the government's My Aged Care department in order to access support. So if you're in either one of those situations, then this is the video that you want to watch. So what we're going to be covering here is how to actually call up the government department to request that support. Now, the reason that we're actually recording this, you might think, oh, it's easy, just call up the government department and say, hey, I need a little bit of extra help. Can you give me that extra help? But what we've found over the years of helping people navigate the aged care system, what we've found is those people who do not prepare for that initial conversation with My Aged Care and who do not clearly articulate what their current situation is, what their challenges are with that situation, and what they need, in their words, what they need in place in order to maintain their independence and ultimately continue to stay well in their own home. Those people who do not prepare for that conversation, they often get under-assessed for the level of support they need and therefore do not get the types of support services that they need. So we've come up with a really easy way for you to be able to plan for that conversation so that when you're put on the spot and you're asked about your situation, you can clearly communicate it, okay? And not just communicate it in the words that you would normally use, but also to communicate it in a way that the people at My Aged Care and the aged care assessors, they need to hear, the words they need to hear in order to approve you and truly understand your current situation, okay? So that's the purpose of this video. I pre-recorded a little workshop session which will step you through exactly what you need to do to prepare for that conversation. It won't take you more than 10 or 15 minutes to complete this little exercise, and you're going to be so empowered to take control of your independence journey going forward. So I'm going to flick over into that video right now. Watch that video. If you need to pause the video to follow it along, then you do that. I'll see you in that video. So for this, you're going to need a piece of paper, preferably A4 piece of paper, okay? And you're going to need a pen as well, right? For this piece of paper, you want to be able to turn it long ways because we're going to use this piece of paper to create your blueprint, right? That you are then just going to just read out to the people at My Aged Care and any other ongoing assessment person that is deciding on what support services you need, okay? So if you need to pause this video right now to grab yourself a piece of paper and a pen, okay? So pause the video. Okay, if you've got that and you're ready to go, let's jump straight into it. I'm going to use this because like I said, we're going to do this together, and I've got my pen, and let's jump straight into it, all right? So the first thing I want you to do with your piece of paper is I want you to divide it into 3 columns, just like this. I want you to draw a line here, that's column number 1. Draw a line here, that's column number 2, and that's column number 3, all right? At the top of column number 1, I want you to give it the heading, Health Challenges. Okay, health challenges. That's the heading of column number 1. Column number 2, I want you to write down daily activity challenges. Okay, that's column number 2. And column number 3, desires. Okay, they're the headings for the 3 columns. Right, The next thing I want you to do is go over back to the column number 1, and we're going to list out the health challenges. Now, just take a pause there. Just remember why we are doing this, okay? The reason why we are summarizing, and we're going to summarize in list form these 3 headings for your situation. The reason why we are doing this is because we are then going to use this to get on the call with My Aged Care, which is the government department for requesting home care support services. We're going to get on the phone with them, and they're going to say, oh, hi, for example, say your name's Mrs. Smith. Hi, Mrs. Smith. Tell us, what are your challenges and what support do you need? To which you can then reply by saying, well, I've prepared for this call. I've got a piece of paper that summarizes that. Do you mind if I read out this piece of paper to you, which will give you the answers that you need? Okay? So therefore, you're essentially doing the work for My Aged Care. You're making it really obvious and clear about what your requests are. The other reason why we are preparing on a piece of paper before we get on the call is because quite often, when we get off the phone or we finish up a conversation with somebody, we often forget to say certain things, right? Regardless of if it's healthcare services or whatever it is, could be just chatting with a friend. And we walk away from that conversation going, oh, I wish I said that. Oh, I wish I mentioned that. This is going to help you avoid that problem, right? When it comes to most government departments, the person that you speak to, if it's the moment you hang up that phone, chances are you're not going to be able to get back to that person again. It's going to be a different person that you speak to. So you want to make sure when you speak to them, you say everything that you need and they document everything you need. This is going to help you with that. All right? So go to column number 1 now. And in column number 1, it's called health challenges. What you want to list down under health challenges is any self-explanatory health challenges or conditions that you're currently living with. Now, whenever I ask this to somebody who's older, typically in their 80s or 70s or even 90s, and they're kind of like, they're feeling strong, they're feeling active, whenever I ask, what are your health challenges? Quite often, the person tells me, I don't have any health challenges. I'm fine. Okay? To which I reframe the question. I say to the person, okay, that's great to hear. Tell me, what are some of the medications, or do you take any medications? And the person says, oh yeah, I take a lot of different medications. Okay, and they might rattle off 10 or 15 different medications that they take. And then I work through each one of those medications and I say, okay, that particular medication, why are you taking that medication? And the person might say, oh, that's for my diabetes. And then I might say, oh, great, why are you taking that medication? Oh, that's for my arthritis. Why are you taking that medication? That's for my heart condition. So I appreciate the person said, I don't have any health challenges, but what we want to list down is any health, maybe it should be reframed, condition, any health condition that you're currently managing, okay? This is what My Aged Care wants to know. Because to get approved for the right level of support, My Aged Care wants to know what kind of health situations are you managing. Healthcare professionals refer to this as chronic diseases that there are no cure for. You're just managing them, all right? And what you're trying to do is you're trying to slow down or limit the rate in which they are progressing, okay? So we want to list those down. So let's say, let's call this fake person Mrs. Smith. And apologies for all the Mrs. Smiths out there. You might get this a little bit, but let's say this person her name is Mrs. Smith. And let's say Mrs. Smith has arthritis. Okay? Mrs. Smith is living with diabetes. And you're writing them all down for your situation, right? There might be atrial fibrillation. That's a fluttering of the heart, which is a common condition. Fibrillation. Apologies for spelling mistakes. There might be, I don't know, glaucoma. There might be osteoporosis, and so on. You're going to list out all your health challenges, okay? Right. Once you've done that, we move on to the next column, okay? The next column is called daily activity challenges. And what you want to do under this column is you want to have a think about, for each of these health challenges, think about, all right, because Mrs. Smith has arthritis, what are the daily activities, right? The activities that she does on a day-to-day basis in, the general day-to-day life. What activities does the arthritis make a little bit more difficult, right? Mrs. Smith may still do these activities even though she's got arthritis. But the question that I'm asking, the activity that I want you to write down and think about is, what are the activities that aren't as easy as they used to be, even though you still may do them? What are the activities that aren't as easy as they used to be because you're living with arthritis, right? So let's think about, let's say Mrs. Smith has arthritis in her hip, right? So let's think about a typical daily activity, vacuuming the floor, right? Vacuuming the floor requires you to move your hip, to push forward the vacuuming, maybe bending over to pick up the vacuum and whatnot. That activity, because the arthritis is progressing and it's getting worse, that activity isn't as easy as it used to be. And you're finding that a little bit challenging these days. You still may do it, but you're finding it challenging, okay? You write down, one daily activity is vacuuming the floor. I'm really showing some vulnerability here, everybody. My training is in engineering and science, not in spelling. So you are going to see some spelling mistakes. I'm putting it out there, okay? Vacuuming the floor. And we might even just draw a little line so that they're linked. Are there any other activities that, because you got arthritis in your hip, that might be difficult? Standing for long periods of time. Okay, that could be a difficult activity. What's another one? Bending over to clean the shower. So cleaning the bathroom. Cleaning bathroom. Okay, and so on. If you've thought about, if you've exhausted your list and you can't think of any more, that arthritis is giving you grief on certain activities, move on to the next health condition, diabetes. So what are the challenges with diabetes? Well, diabetes has a lot to do with, nutrition, diet. It also affects your mobility as well. A lot of people experience poor blood circulation in their arms and legs, so it affects your ability to move around. So we might say, this one down here, daily activity, cooking and preparing meals. So preparing meals is a challenge. Preparing meals. Standing, again, might be standing. You might want to sort of just link that one down here. Standing. Walking. Vision, right? These are all common challenges, daily challenges, okay? And move on. Atrial fibrillation, fluttering of the heart. A lot of people who experience atrial fibrillation or a lot of heart conditions for that matter, you might have high blood pressure, you might have heart failure, blood-related, heart-related conditions are often met with people feeling out of breath if they do too much physical movement, right? So the atrial fibrillation could be causing this person out of breath. So it might be walking or lifting heavy things okay? And so on. And that's what you're going to do for all these things. Glaucoma, any vision impairment, macular degeneration. You might put driving, no longer driving, is now difficult or no longer possible, right? So these are the daily activity challenges that Mrs. Smith is experiencing. And what's prompted us to think about these is we've just gone back to the health conditions and go, all right, arthritis, how is that causing me grief throughout the day? Diabetes, how is that causing me grief throughout the day? You know, and you think about those things that where it causes you grief and you write them down under daily activity challenges. Okay, hopefully this is clear. If it's not clear, then what you can do is share this video with a friend or a family member. Have them watch it with you to see if they can help you answer any questions that you might get stuck on. If that doesn't work, give us a call at Village Local. That's the point of Village Local. Our organisation helps people access the level of support that they need so that they can stay independent, safe and well. Okay, so you can call us. Our phone number is 1300 87 43 42. We always put our phone number wherever we post our videos as well, so you can call us if you get stuck. All right. The last column, desires, right? Now that you've gone through your health challenges and your daily challenges, now it's time to think about, okay, what would make my life easier when we think about that particular problem? How can I solve that problem? What thing can I get access to, or what solution should I have in place to solve that problem, that daily challenge, right? Commonly, what often happens is when a task becomes too difficult, the first thing that we do is we rely on others to help them. We ask a family member, we ask the neighbor, we ask a friend to give us a hand with things. So a prime example is when vacuuming becomes too difficult, right? Or getting on ladders to reach high places becomes too dangerous or difficult. We'll ask, an adult child, a daughter-in-law, a son-in-law, right? We'll ask them to give us a hand, okay? Or we'll ask a neighbour to, give us a lift down to the shops so that we can get some shopping done, right? We rely on friends. So now it's time to go through these individual daily activities and start thinking about, brainstorming, what would make your life easier when it came to solving that problem. And everybody's situation is going to be different, right? Let's go through this with Mrs. Smith, from Mrs. Smith's perspective, okay? So Mrs. Smith has arthritis. She finds vacuuming the floor quite difficult, right? Let's say she doesn't do it anymore and she's relying on her daughter to help her come and clean her house. Now, let's say, for example, her daughter's got her own children and maybe even her own grandchildren, okay? And her daughter may also work part-time or even full-time, who knows? So for her daughter to come to the home, to Mrs. Smith's home, Mrs. Smith feels bad about this, doesn't want to overburden her daughter because she knows what it's like to have a young family. Mrs. Smith, many years ago, she went through all that, and she doesn't want to put that pressure on her daughter. So Mrs. Smith is, only asking her for the bare essentials that she really struggles with, and would rather not ask. A solution to that, Mrs. Smith might think of, is, gee, it would be nice if I had some additional funding that I could pay a cleaner to come to my home once a fortnight or once or twice a week, depending on however much support, assistance you need around the house, to come to my home so that I didn't have to rely on my daughter or anybody else, or son or anybody else to do this, okay? So your desire may be a cleaner to come to my home, right? That could be the desire. That could be the solution to solving that. And it's going to be different for everybody. Think creatively, right? So it might be cleaner to come to home 1 to 2 times per week. And we're going to say vacuuming. We might even say the laundry, washing and all that. It might be difficult. Maybe the arthritis is in the shoulder or in the elbow or the wrist, and putting clothes. You can load the clothes into the washing machine, but putting them on the line, lifting your arms above your head is really difficult. Okay, so maybe that's why you need the cleaner to come to the home. So we might say the laundry. We might say the bedding. Doing the bedding is often a tricky thing. We might say the bathroom. Okay. That's ticking off a lot of these: vacuuming the floor, standing for long periods of time, cleaning the bathroom. The desire for this cleaner to come to the house a few times a week or on a fortnightly basis, whatever your needs are, is solving all those problems for you. All right. Let's go down the list. We've solved that with our desire. We've solved that with a cleaner. We've solved that with a cleaner. Preparing meals. Okay. Preparing meals. What could be a solution for that? Now, Mrs. Smith in the past, let's hypothetically speaking now, she's previously ordered, meals online or meals over the phone from companies like, I'm just sort of thinking out loud, like Light and Easy, for example, a meal delivery service, or there's heaps of meal delivery services. But she's used the Light and Easy company before, and she found it really, really good. She really enjoyed the flavors. They were nutritious. They were really good for her, for managing her diabetes as well. The problem is, Mrs. Smith might not order them anymore because they're too expensive. She might not so much they're expensive, but she can't afford them. She's on a pension, right? So she stopped ordering them. Well, the desire could be, it would be great to get some funding from the government to help pay for those meal delivery services, okay? Because that's possible. You can get that, okay? You can get some government funding that can go towards the payment of these meal delivery services if that's what you need. And it's deemed by the assessor that is what you need. You can't pay for it all. You can't have it fully covered, but there are many scenarios where people get 70% of the cost of these things covered, which is huge, okay? So that might be Mrs. Smith's desire. So let's write down financial assistance for meal delivery. Okay? Pre-made meals. Okay? That might be the solution to the diabetes and the fact that you can't prepare meals. Right? Let's go else. Let's. So we're solving all these daily challenges with these solutions. Okay, with these desires. Let's keep going down the list. So we've solved now preparing meals, standing, walking, vision, walking. Let's think about walking. Mrs. Smith, hypothetically, she doesn't have any walking aids, right? Maybe she's got a walking stick, right? But that's not working well for her. She would prefer a walker. She'd feel more stable. This walker that she's seen might have a little seat on it as well. So if she needed to have a break, she can sit on the seat and have a little break. Maybe she's at the shops and she wants to be able to sit down every so often, okay? But she can't afford this walker. This walker's a few $100s and she's on a pension. She can't afford it. Same thing. The desire to solve that walking problem is some financial assistance to pay for a walker. Okay, so we write that down. Financial assistance for meal delivery, financial assistance for a walker. Okay, so that's ticked. Vision and driving. Can't drive anymore. Can't see properly. Okay. What's the solution to that? Well, wouldn't it be nice? Mrs. Smith's thinking, gee, it'd be nice if somebody could take my calls, and if I ever needed a lift to go to a doctor's appointment or to the shops, at a last minute notice as well, it'd be nice to be able to just pick up the phone and within a couple of hours, I could have somebody come, knock on my door, walk me to a car, load my walker into a car and help me get in. because I've got a sore hip, I can't get on buses or community transport. I need help getting into the seat. It'd be nice if a driver came to pick me up that can take me to these appointments or these errands that I need to run, right? So the solution is access to somebody who can drive me around, a caregiver or a community person to drive me around. All right? That might be Mrs. Smith's preference because she's a little bit frail, hypothetically, and she needs help getting in the car, and community transport and buses just aren't good for her, right? Another solution for another person might say, hey, I just need taxi vouchers. I'm okay to get in the car, but getting on a bus or community transport isn't working for me because the doctor's appointment, it's not on the bus route. I need somebody to take me there and wait with me there and drive me home. I need a dedicated person. Okay, that might be a taxi service. That might be taxi vouchers, right? So we might write that down. A driver or taxi vouchers. Okay? Guys, that's it. That's your homework done. This here is your blueprint, right? With this homework done, this took us, if you took all my talking out, it wouldn't take you more than 15, 20 minutes to do this. Once you've done this, it's at this stage. You then get on the phone with My Aged Care. Okay, I hope you found a lot of value in that. I hope you pulled out your worksheet. I hope you drew those 3 columns and you started listing out those things under each column. If you didn't do that, that's okay. Now's the time to pause this video, go and grab that piece of paper and that pen and go back and complete the worksheet. Follow me along to complete the worksheet. If you have done that, well then I'm sure right now you're feeling really empowered, much more confident about getting on the phone with My Aged Care. That's the government department to make those support requests in the home. And that phone number for My Aged Care is 1-800 200 422. I put it up just up here so that you can write that down. Okay, so now it's time to get on the phone with My Aged Care. You've got your piece of paper, you're going to call them up, and what you're going to do is you're just going to say, hi, it's whatever your name is, Mrs. Smith here. If you're already getting a little bit of help, you simply say, I'm already getting a little bit of help, probably through the Commonwealth Home Support Program. That's probably what you're getting. I'm already getting a little bit of help, but I'm finding it's not enough, and I'd like to organize some more help. Okay. If you're not getting any help at all at the moment, then you simply say, I'm not getting any help at the moment, but I need to organize a little bit of help. I've prepared for this conversation. Do you mind if I tell you a little bit about my current challenges? And the person at My Aged Care is going to be really lovely and going to say to you, yes, not a problem. Let me know what's going on for you. And you just say, hey, look, I've summarized my situation. Can I take you through it? And you do that. Okay. Now, here's what you want as the end point for this conversation. This first person you speak to at My Aged Care, they are not an assessor. Okay. They are simply a call center, a person in a call center taking inbound calls, right? And their job is to hear your situation and to direct you down the right path. And those paths that they direct you down, they're often one of 2 situations. They're going to direct you down an assessment path, which is known as the Regional Assessment Service, okay? Or RAS for short, okay? A regional assessment service or a RAS assessor, that is for people that have entry-level requirements, okay? People who typically only need a little bit of help, maybe some domestic assistance once a fortnight. If that's all you're needing, it's going to be entry-level support, right? So they're not going to be doing deep cleaning in the home. They're not going to be getting on ladders to clean windows and to dust blinds and to clean the tops of cupboards. That is not what they're going to be doing. They're not going to be moving furniture around to vacuum behind furniture. It is literally a light dusting and a light clean, maybe tidy up the bathroom, and then they're in and out once a fortnight, okay? If that's your space, if that's what your needs are, then that's a RAS assessment that you need, okay? For those that are already getting that and have been approved with that and they've found that it's not enough for them, that is not the path that you want the My Aged Care person putting you down. The other path that you can get put down from this first call with My Aged Care is to be scheduled in for an ACAT assessment. ACAT stands for Aged Care Assessment Team. If you're in Victoria and watching this, it's known as an ACAS assessment, Aged Care Assessment Service, okay? Now, what's the difference between ACAT and RAS? Well, as I said, the RAS, they can only approve this very entry-level government program called the Commonwealth Home Support Program. But an ACAT assessor, they can approve people for what we call the home care packages system. If you haven't heard about home care packages, I'll put a link in the description of this video so you can learn all about them. But ultimately, a home care package works very different to the Commonwealth Home Support Program. Under the home care package system, what the government does is they approve you for one of 4 levels of a home care package, level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And all that means is the amount of money the government will put into a special account for you as the consumer, and this is money that will be above and beyond your pension, okay, if you're a pensioner, and you can use this money to spend it on support services to come into the home modifications, transportation, mobility aids, lots and lots of different things, meal delivery, lots of things. It's very, very flexible. You can even spend it on professional cleaners to come to your home to do those one-off, more difficult jobs in the home that you require. Quick summary on home care package. If you get approved for a level 1 home care package, that's going to give you about $9,000 per year, every year. That's paid to you monthly on top of your pension, right? Again, you can use that money in the way that you see fit. That's in line with your care plan. A level 2 home care package, that'll give you a bit over $16,000 per year. A level 3 home care package, that'll give you a bit over $34,000 per year. And a level 4 home care package, that'll give you a bit over $54,000 per year, okay? This is money that the government has made available to you to keep you independent and well in the home. The government does not want you going into hospital because of an accident, and the government does not want you ending up in a nursing home when you don't need to be there and when you desire to remain in your home, independent and well. The government wants to support you in doing that. It's cheaper for the government to do that. Cheaper for the government to give you that money, okay? So if that's the space you want to be in and you think you're suitable to be in, that is known as the home care package system. And the path that you want to be booked in for from your first call with My Aged Care is for an ACAT assessment, okay? So it's really, really important when you're speaking to My Aged Care, if you feel that you're more suited to the home care package system and the Commonwealth Home Support Program, it's too entry level for you. If you're suited for the home care package system, you must specifically tell the person that you're speaking to at My Aged Care, look, I'm aware that the Commonwealth Home Support Program exists. It's too entry level for my situation. I want to be booked in for an ACAT assessment in order to get approved for a home care package. You need to specifically ask for that, and you need to tell the person at My Aged Care to note that, to write that down in your notes, okay? Because they're going to forward your notes on to that relevant party, and that relevant person is going to read that, okay? You need to specifically direct that, okay? Specifically ask for it, right? One other thing which I didn't cover off in that 3 columns part of the video is it's also, if you want your situation prioritized, one of the most prevalent ways and best ways to get your situation prioritized is to make sure you tell the person at My Aged Care whether you've had a recent fall, okay? A lot of people have had recent falls or regularly fall, and they think it's just, oh, you know, I had a fall. This is something that My Aged Care and the government takes really seriously, because people who are having falls, they're really high risk of really hurting themselves, right? Falling over, breaking a hip, breaking a shoulder. These types of injuries are the catalyst for having somebody end up in a nursing home, right? So if you've had a recent fall, or you regularly fall, or you're concerned about your balance, you must make sure that you've written this down on your worksheet, probably under the column of what are the daily challenges you have. You know, had regular falls, concerned about my balance. Write it down there and make sure you mention that to My Aged Care, right? By doing that, they will prioritize your application and get it to the assessor faster, okay? Look, I'm gonna leave this video at that. Our number is up here as well. I'll put it up here for Village Local. If you've got any concerns and you need some more guidance, some more tips about preparing for your call with My Aged Care, then by all means, give us a call or send us an email. I'll put my email up here as well. Send us an email. If you're watching this and you still don't feel confident about doing this yourself, well, then we also run a separate service where we can get on the phone with you and My Aged Care and help you through that process as well. So if you wanted to book us in for that type of service as well, well, then we can be available for that as well for you, okay? I'll put the link in the description on how to do that. Let's leave it at that. I hope you found this video useful, and I wish you all the very best in the next stage of the journey through navigating the aged care system. Stay well.